All right, we got nonlinear systems of equations, not the systems you're used to seeing, but these will have exponents in them. That's why they're nonlinear, quadratics usually. All right, this first one is really a circle and a line, and we're not going to graph them. We're going to use substitution or elimination like we did in the past to solve it, but think about a circle and a line because that's what those two graphs would be, and the answers would be the intersection of the two. So to do this one, you got to do substitution, which is going to take a second, so watch carefully. So I'm going to get the x by itself here. So in the second equation, I'm moving the 3x over. I'm sorry, the 4y over. And then I'm going to divide by 3. So once I do that, I know what x equals. X is 4/3 y. I'm going to substitute that into my first equation. It's like we used to do with linear stuff. So I'm going to plug the 4/3 y in for the x, and it's x squared, just 4/3 y squared plus y squared equals 25. Now if I square that first parentheses, I get 16/9 y squared plus y squared is 25. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add my two y squareds together. The y squared is by itself is really 1y squared, which is 9/9. So if I add those two, I get 25/9 y squared equals 25. Divide both sides by the 25/9. Remember, when you divide by a fraction, you really multiply by reciprocal. So I'm really doing this, which means that 25s will cancel. I get 9. Take the square root to get plus or minus 3. That's my y. All right, now I got to get my x also. So if I plug y back in there, if I plug 3 in there, 4/3 times the 3's will cancel, I'll just get 4. So if I plug in positive 3, I'm going to get 4. But I've also got to plug in a negative 3. So if I put on a negative 3, obviously, I'm going to get negative 4. And those are my two solutions. Okay, so that's substitution, like we always did. Only difference is it's got squares involved now. All right, this is an elimination type problem because everything is squared. I could not do elimination last time because I had one equation had squares and the other one did not, but this one everything has a square. So what I'm going to do to this one is I'm going to multiply that bottom equation all the way through by 5, add it to the top one. So I'm going to bring the top one on over here. 2x squared plus 5y squared is 39. Multiply the second one by 5. 15x squared minus 5y squared equals negative 5. And add them. Those are gone. That gives me 17x squared there. Got 34 there. Divide by 17, you get 2. So x is going to be plus or minus the square root of 2. And at first you're like, oh my gosh, that's really bad. And that's a nasty answer. No way it is. But another way, when we plug it back in, we're going to plug it up here and we're going to square it anyway. Okay, so I'm going to plug in the positive square root of 2, square it, plus 5y squared, because I got to find my y. All right, so if you square root, the square root goes away. So it gives me 2 times 2, which is 4, plus 5y squared is 39. Move the 4 to the other side, which is 35. Divide by the 5, which is 7. Take the square root, you get plus or minus 7. So bottom line is I plugged in a positive 2, and I can get either positive or negative 7. Now before I plug in negative 2, think about this for a second. If I plug in negative 2 right there, same place I plugged in the positive square root of 2, first thing I'm going to do is square it, which means it's going to be positive anyway, so it doesn't really matter. So what's happening here is no matter what combination of square root of 2 I put in there, I'm going to get a plus or minus square root of 7 for my y, and that's the answer. Okay, that's elimination. I'm going to show you one more. All right, the last one. Also, this one I cannot do elimination because obviously the first equation has squares in it, the second one doesn't. When you can't do elimination, we're going straight to substitution. I'm going to divide both sides by x in that bottom one and do this. Y equals 3/x. I'm going to plug that in right there at the top. So I get x squared minus 3 times 3/x squared equals 6. Just going to work through that real quick. Still got the 3 out here. If I square that, I get 9/x squared equals 6. Still going through there. 27/x squared equals 6. All right, then what I'm going to do, because I don't like the fraction in there, I'm going to multiply everything by the LCD, which is x squared. Multiplying everything up there by x squared gives me x to the 4th. The x squared would cancel here, just 27, and I would get 6x squared there. So I'm going to move the 6x squared over and try to factor. I'm going to factor. So I'm looking for factors of 27 that give me negative 6, which is negative 9 and 3, by the way. So I'm going x squared minus 9 and x squared plus 3. Equals 0. So one thing I know for sure right now, my x's, I know x, one part of x is plus or minus. Well, I need to keep factoring. Let me back up just a second. I'm running out of room too. That first parentheses I can factor like this: x plus 3, x minus 3, and then I still have this x squared plus 3. right there. So two of my answers I know for x are -3 and +3. My other two answers are going to come from here. All right, so I'm going to set that equal to 0, x squared plus 3. Move the 3 over, it's -3. Take the square root. Because it's negative, you pull out an I, you get I on 3. Man, it's going to be a lot of stuff to plug in. Here we go. It's going to be fun, though. Make that a little smaller, bring that back down. Okay, once I get my answers, which I have now, I'm going to take them, I'm going to plug them right back where y equals. So if I plug in -3 in there, right here, I get 3 over -3, which is -1. So one of my answers is going to be -3, -1. All right, if I plug in +3 in there, I get 3 divided by 3, which is 1. So I get 3 and 1. If I plug in this answer, which is going to be exciting, I would get this. I would get 3 over I on 3. You can't leave that down there. You got to multiply by square root of 3 and I on top and bottom. So you end up with 3I on 3 over 3I squared. Remember, I squared is really -1, so there you go. 3's cancel. Wow. So I plugged in I on 3, and I got I on 3. And just to be short and simple here, the same thing's going to happen when you plug in -I on 3. If you plug in -I on 3, you're going to get -I on 3. That was crazy. To be honest, plugging in the answers on that one was a little bit tougher than working through the whole equation. So there'll be a couple doozies tomorrow, but we'll get through them like we always do. I'll see you then. See you, bye.